I'm once again back in my car before class starts. Let's get started. So today I wanted to talk about something that has also affected me recently besides anxiety, and it's the idea of guilt and shame. Now there are two real big sides that I want to hit on. The first being ashamed of your interests, like people making you feel ashamed of who you are as a person, what you like, and that kind of stuff. And the other part is the personal guilt that you feel about yourself, which leads you to go down a bad path and kind of blame others for it. So the first big idea has kind of affected me a lot throughout my life. And the big story here is a lot of people don't know that I love to sing. I love it. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I love making music, and I loved it when I was a kid. But somewhere along the line, I just stopped. And I wouldn't sing for anyone besides myself. And when I was alone, I would sing my heart out like a full Broadway musical. But as soon as I felt the presence of another person, like even in the area, even if it wasn't like real, even if the person wasn't there, if I had an inkling that someone was listening, I would just shut up immediately. And it's because when I was a kid, whenever I would sing to the songs on the radio, I'd be really loud and kind of rambunctious, but that's just because I loved singing so much. And I would be told constantly to shut up. And so, as most of you know, like, when you're told to shut up for long enough, you eventually just do. And that's exactly what happened to me. My arm is getting so sore from doing this, but I'm going to continue. And so eventually, I got an opportunity to sing on stage again, which was kind of insane. And so I decided, it was high time for me to take a leap of faith because, I had been so ashamed of my voice for so long. Because, like I said, after being told to shut up for so long, you do, because you feel like your voice isn't good enough to be heard. And so I took this opportunity, and it was, like, honestly, one of the most liberating experiences of my life. Because I had finally realized that I should not be ashamed of who I am or what I do at all. And all those years of being told to shut up were holding me back from something that I really, really loved, and I shouldn't be ashamed of doing something that I love. Another little fun fact for you, the term guilty pleasure actually has its roots in misogyny, in that women are not allowed to have interests. But that's a story for another time. So I finally got this opportunity to sing, and I took it, and I feel so much better now that I have. And so the moral of that story is you shouldn't be ashamed of whatever interests or things you enjoy. Like, you shouldn't have to be ashamed of you. Like, you shouldn't be made to feel guilty about being a human being. So the next time someone tries to make you feel guilty, own it. You gotta own it. You gotta say, you know what, this is my interest. You cannot change who I am. End of story. My arm was really starting to hurt, so I've changed my angle. And the next thing I want to talk about is that feeling of kind of personal guilt. Like, there's just like some kind of thing about you that you see as a flaw, and you feel guilty about it. But because you don't know really how to handle that feeling, you end up kind of pushing the blame on others. And this is something that has a big story behind it, but I'm going to summarize. So there was a person that was in my life for a while. For the sake of this story, let's call her Bob. And I considered Bob and I friends. Like, we worked really closely together. And, one day Bob just kind of up and left. I got basically a few hours notice, and she pretty much just left. I knew her personal story and everything, so I knew she probably had her reasons to leave. But at the same time, the entire situation surrounding Bob's departure was really, really fishy to me, and it really weighed on my mind for the longest time. And it was super frustrating because, you know, I considered Bob and I friends, and all of a sudden I felt like I had been absolutely betrayed and just beaten down and just really, really depressed. So yeah, Bob left, and there's this piece of me that believes that because Bob was so angry when she left, and the story she told me involved a lot of blame on other people, it leads me to believe that she had something going on that she felt super ashamed about and guilty over, but she didn't want to admit to it, and so she just shut people out and blamed others and then left. So my advice for people who are like Bob, and if you notice that you're starting to blame other people for your shortcomings, don't do that. Because I know it's really difficult to accept that you're a flawed human being sometimes, but honestly, like, the moment you accept you're not perfect and you don't place the blame on others, that's when you feel so much better about yourself, because you understand, like, there are things that you just feel bad about and it sucks, but it's not other people's problem. And if you know someone like this who really just feels guilt about who they are, but they don't want to accept it, the only thing you can really do is to just let them be. Because there's no way they're going to learn that personal shortcomings should not be taken out on other people is through experience. And it's going to take time, and there's no way you can change it, and it really sucks, but that's all you can do. So in those moments where you feel yourself starting to blame others for something that you feel you come short on, I want you to take a second and reflect on what the problem really is. If you have to write it down, write it down. If you have to meditate on it, meditate on it. Just do something so you don't make others the demons that you are trying to fight. In conclusion, when you feel guilty about your interests, don't be, because you're allowed to have interests, you're allowed to be a human being, and no one should try and force you to change that. You do you, and you be the best you can be. And the second thing is, 1, don't place the blame on others for your own personal shortcomings, and 2, if you know someone who does that, you just gotta let them be. You just have to let them live their own life and hope that one day they will understand better. That is all for this video. I am once again going to go hole myself up in the student union until my class starts. See you guys next time. Bye! There are planes! Not only are there cars, but there are planes now!